It was Socrates who said, "Weak minds discuss people, average minds discuss events, and strong minds discuss Silksong boss mods." To join the ranks of history's greatest philosophers, I made a tier list of every Silksong boss mod I could find. By the end of this video, you too will have ascended into the euphoria of your intelligence by newfound knowledge of Silksong boss mods. Buddha once said, "The root of suffering is Savage Beastfly." The Mucked Beastfly mod adds a third Beastfly fight in Bilehaven and inflicts a satisfying amount of suffering. The arena consists of platforms that sink into maggot water. Contact damage with the Beastfly also gives you maggots. Essentially, you're not healing during this fight. Also, it spawns these assholes. Although I do respect the restraint the modder showed in only spawning one asshole at a time. It's just the right amount of nuisance to add to the fight. The arena is wonderfully evil and I love it. Mucked Beastfly goes into A tier. They say you learn by suffering, and if there's one thing I'm good at, it's suffering. So for the sake of knowledge, I added a second Mucked Beastfly to fight. With each hit I took, a mathematical formula sprouted in my mind. Y equals mx plus b, I whispered, as I took 2 masks of damage. By the time I defeated them, I had mastered every possible formula required to pass pre-algebra. Double Mucked Beastfly will go into the "why would you do this to yourself" tier. You must be the Silksong boss mod you wish to see in the world. Gandhi. There are 2 modders who embraced this, and each created their own way to rework the Phantom boss fight. The Phantom the Oring mod makes the Phantom fight harder, while still balanced for mid game. Although the mod is definitely significantly harder than the original fight. She attacks a lot faster, which by itself makes the fight more fun for me. The issue I have with this fight is that it's way too long. This didn't need to be a 5-minute fight. Cut the boss HP in half, and it'll be golden. Phantom the Oring goes into B tier. The next modder found inspiration within what already existed. Silken Sisters simply adds Lace to the Phantom fight, and that alone made for a challenging but fun experience. After beating all the bosses in Silksong doubled in my previous videos, I thought this would be a cakewalk. It was actually harder than I expected. Unlike doubling the bosses, adding a second unique boss to the fight means you have to keep track of a second moveset. Keeping track of 2 different movesets is what makes this mod a fun challenge. There are a few flaws though. Sometimes you'll get knocked outside of the arena. However, it's fun to taunt them as they furiously try to attack you through the gate. Also, Lace has a lot less health than Phantom. You could just focus on beating Lace quickly, then it just becomes the normal Phantom fight. This didn't feel like the intended way to play the mod, so I tried to beat them both around the same time. The fight's definitely more intense this way, and eventually, I managed to beat them at roughly the same time. Despite these flaws, I enjoy this mod and I'm placing it in B tier. The Faded Phantom mod reworks Phantom for Act 3. Again, she attacks a lot faster and has some new moves. I definitely had fun relearning the fight again. I have one small nitpick, and it's that she's invulnerable for a second after her AoE attack. What should be a juicy, satisfying punish is diminished by having to wait a second to only hit her once. I have ADHD, and 1 second is way too long for me to deal with. However, signaling her last phase with 11 AoEs in a row is pretty hilarious. While I overall enjoyed the changes the mod makes, it has a couple flaws. What disappointed me was that in her last phase, there's nothing new. It's just the same thing again, which sucks because the fight is also too damn long. These fights don't need to be 5 minutes long. As fun as it is to play against the new moveset, it gets tedious by the time you hit the last phase. Faded Phantom goes into B tier as well, passionately snuggled in between the 2 other Phantom mods. With flavors almost as rich as our history, we have a chip or crisp flavor guaranteed to bring a smile to your face. Lay's. The Lay's Lace mod makes Lace into Lay's, and it's absolute perfection. Seeing as she is now a bag of potato chips, it becomes harder to guess what she's about to do, adding a new crispy layer of difficulty. Each of her 3 phases is cooked and seasoned to perfection. Every attack has a crisp, delicious taste. Seeing as Lace is a being made purely from fresh farm-grown potatoes, it is no surprise that Lay's Lace lands firmly in S tier. What are you doing, Step Sinner? Riley Reid. Probably. Have you ever been fighting the first sinner and thought to yourself, wow, sure wish there were 3 of them? Well, the Sisters of Sin mod does just that. Not sure what else to say other than that there's goddamn 3 of them. The mod does exactly what it says it does, with just a few minor changes to make the fight run more smoothly. You end the first phase by taking them out one at a time, and then the last phase begins with all of them reappearing at the same time. Of course, mashing 3 bosses together at the same time means you'll need a good amount of luck to beat this fight, but that's to be expected. Now watch this drive. The mod does what it says, and it does it well. A tier. The Lost Sinner mod was the first boss mod to be released on Nexus, only 11 days after the game released. Surprisingly, it holds up as one of the best modded bosses yet. The new Abyss attacks are reminiscent of Lost Lace, and blend seamlessly into the new moveset. One change I particularly enjoyed is that you can now turn around during your 2-slash attack in the air. That small change threw me off so many times. It was great. The sword attack, however, requires little luck to dodge since you have a very small window to find a safe spot. The last phase ramps up the difficulty as well, adding the rune attack and having to start to chain moves together faster. This mod is the right amount difficult and even has an appropriate amount of health. Lost Sinner easily goes to S tier, just behind Lay's Lace. Choral Beastfly adds a new Beastfly fight in the Citadel and has a fashionable new look that matches the other enemies in the area. I'm not gonna lie, I was disappointed with this fight. It has essentially the same boost as normal, it just adds on an annoying AoE to 2 of the attacks. Unlike the Mucked Beastfly mod, it doesn't keep the theme of making the boss harder with the stupid arena. The way I see it, the arena is what shapes the Beastfly fight into a different experience. Otherwise, it just feels like the same fight again. It was a good attempt at a modded boss, but ultimately, the mod is pretty forgettable. C tier. Also, I got some weird bugs with this mod and it destroyed my double boss's save file. I had to revert the save to an autosave before the last boss, and now I lost over my proof that I beat Lost Lace doubled. I'm very salty about this, which means I'm moving Choral Beastfly to D tier out of spite. And by D tier, I mean dick tier. Your friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, well, they're no friends of mine. Men without hats. Now it's time for the 3 different Cogwork Dancers mods. The better Cogwork Dancers mod makes them twice as fast. It's a simple change, but it actually really improves the fight for me. What's unfortunate is that you usually don't have enough time to dodge the attacks where they dash across the ground, but there's ways around that. B tier. Now, watch me disrespect the last dancer by taunting them to death. The Golden Dancers mod also makes them twice as fast, but the twist is, the mod removed the indicators that tell you where the dancers are going to go. This was a decision. The fight just turns into a guessing game, which I guess technically makes them harder, but not in a good way. Also, their new golden color is simply gaudy. Whoever made them obviously just wanted to show off their wealth by making robots out of gold. Hornet says eat the rich, so we must find this modder and eat them. D tier. The last Cogwork Dancers mod is called GodDance. Like the other mods, they become twice as fast. Their attacks in the first phase have a big ass AoE now. This time, I figured out you can reliably dodge the dash attacks along the ground with parries. When they hug in the air, they now do a huge second AoE attack. I think the intended way to dodge it is to stand as far in the corner as possible, which is hard because you now take damage if you touch the walls. The spacing is stupidly precise, so I found it easier to just parry the shit out of it. Now, the third phase incorporates special stealth technology to intensify the fight, and by that I mean they just become completely invisible most of the time. Since they're desynced in this phase and move stupid fast, it's difficult to remember and visualize where they are while barely having any time to dodge. I was not a fan of this design decision. Now pucker your butthole and watch me blast through the last phase with 1 health. I felt this mod was difficult for the wrong reasons. C tier. What is today but yesterday's tomorrow? Eugene Krabs. King of the Coral Kin buffs Khan to be much more formidable. It was meant to match the difficulty of the other hard bosses, but I found this fight to be significantly harder than them. Regardless, it's still a fun fight. He's faster and save spots are much more limited. The mod stays true to the vanilla boss and doesn't add any annoying gimmicks. A change I really liked is that they removed contact damage, which would have made this fight an absolute unfun nightmare. A good amount of thought went into this mod and it shows. Putting this mod is at A tier. Freedom is the right of all sentient beings. Optimus Prime. 5th course obviously buffs the 4th course boss. The mod is really well made on the surface with 4 different difficulty modes that you can access anytime. Although for easy and medium difficulties, you can just blast your way through with electric thread storms. But I'll admit, it was pretty fun trying to skip as much of the fight as possible. The hard mode though, I had to actually learn the fight. You get no tools, no upgrades, and no extra silk skills. Honestly, I didn't enjoy hard mode at all, because a lot of times where there aren't any platforms to land on, which is problematic because you can only deal damage from below. It felt like the fight was just mostly luck. There were way too many situations where I couldn't really do anything. The 3rd phase is incredibly annoying without Thread Storm, as you have to pogo off him until he eventually moves close enough so that you barely reach the glowing rocks. The last phase just amplifies the problems of the fight with even more fireballs and less platform time. Unfortunately, I lost the footage of my hard mode run, and I don't want to do it again. So here's Kratt being murdered instead. The mod is well made, but I don't think the actual fight is any fun. C tier. And it burns, burns, burns. The Ring of Fire. The Ring of Fire. John Money. The Last Arbiter reworks the Last Judge fight. It's balanced to be fought at the same time as the original fight. It's still significantly harder though. The boss is a lot faster now, which again makes the fight more exciting in my opinion. The dash attack is too fast to reliably dodge, but I found that staying closer to the wall makes it so she actually gives you time to dodge. Basically, she's just faster now with a few tweaks that I didn't really notice while playing. I enjoyed the faster fight, but the fight has 2 big flaws for me. First, she has too much goddamn health. I don't know why modders keep wanting to make 5-minute long fights, but I demand that they stop. Secondly, well, just watch this clip. At one point in the fight, she does 13 agonizing straight seconds of overlapping fire rings. The mod author says this attack can be reliably dodged, but I could not for the life of me figure it out. I just made sure I had full silk so I could cross-stitch my way through. Afterwards, it's just more of the same. The stupid fire attack in the middle of the fight really soured the experience for me. Even if it can be reliably dodged, it's not exactly intuitive. Otherwise, it feels like the same fight but faster. C tier. Hey sexy mama, wanna kill all humans? Ender bedding Rodriguez. Auris Aegis completely transforms the second Sentinel into a unique fight. The fight now is completely centered around parrying. In the first phase, you can only deal damage by parrying. Parrying also gives you silk. It's pretty cool. The dash attacks are awkward to parry, but otherwise the first phase is great. The second phase is, something. You can hit her normally now, but she's incredibly fast and won't stop attacking. If this phase has any kind of pattern or logic, I couldn't find it. And again, the fight is too damn long. I got through it with a shit ton of silk that you quickly build up so I can consistently heal. I didn't really have a strategy for this phase, I just went off of vibes and pure animal instinct. I love the idea of this mod, but the execution is lacking. C tier. I just love Latina Sonic. Shadow the Hedgehog. SkarrQueen Karmelita is a super buffed version of Karmelita. As per usual, she's faster now. She mostly has the same attacks, just with different patterns to mix it up. The gimmick with this fight is that her projectiles now create spike traps where they land. The traps can get out of hand really quickly, especially in the last phase. I used the triple throwing knives to trigger the traps and made sure I had room to just exist. I hated and loved the spike traps at the same time. It definitely made the fight harder while being equally annoying, but at the same time providing a fun challenge. One nitpick I have is that they added spikes to the ceiling, which means I couldn't pogo off of her. I live to pogo, so less pogoing makes me sad. Otherwise, this fight is as fun as it is infuriating. A tier. There's Eric Andre, who asked a question that forever changed the field of philosophy.
What if it was purple? Let's see it purple.
Nobody expected purple Karmelita, but she's here and ready to serve. As per usual, she's faster now. She mostly has the same attacks but changed them together differently. What makes this fight unique is how unpredictable she is. She'll do fake outs left and right, which really keeps you on your toes. The mod itself has some great design decisions. It skips the gauntlet before Karmelita, which by itself it makes me want to kiss this modder. She also doesn't deal contact damage unless she's actively attacking. I love this change, and hope Team Cherry takes note of it for DLCs. You even do damage against self-repairing. I think the base game should have a tool that gives you self-repairing. Just saying. The third phase adds a brand new attack, and it's a whole ass chungus of a move. A sound cue plays a split second before she sends out a giant 3 damage slash attack across the stage. You're definitely meant to parry this attack. The sound cue barely gives you enough time to react if you're far enough away from her. You really have to try and anticipate when she'll do this attack. But I'll admit, parrying it is really satisfying. Now the coolest and most flawed part of the fight is the brand new last phase. Everything turns black and white, and it's pure cinema. This allows me to edit a bunch of random bullshit into the background. Unfortunately, in order to make this face look as cool as possible, the HUD gets hidden, so it's really difficult to keep track of your health, silk, and tools. You glow when you have enough silk to heal, but that's about it. I don't think this would be too much of a problem normally, but this phase suffers from once again being too damn long. Literally half the fight is the last phase. I appreciate the commitment to the artistic flair, but hiding the HUD doesn't work very well balance-wise. She starts off this phase the same way every time, and you gotta memorize it. She becomes even more unpredictable as she starts teleporting randomly between the edges of the stage. She can still do her big-ass chungus attack, so you're on your toes even more to anticipate it. It took a really long time to beat this fight, but I enjoyed it the entire time.
Surprise, motherfucker.
I think if the last phase is shortened and the sound cue for the mother chungus attack plays earlier, it would pretty much be perfect. This mod should probably go into A tier for now, but I personally love it enough to bump it up to S tier. Absolute SilkGoddess buffs the hell out of Grandmommy Silk. It's pretty much an entirely new fight. Most of her attacks are completely new, and she has a lot more needles to poke you with. The first phase is fantastic. The new moves are fun to dodge, attacks chain together faster, and the difficulty level is great. The second phase is where things get iffy. Giant wraiths start to spawn, and they're super buggy. If you hit them before they're fully summoned, they become invisible and or invincible. This is pretty much a death sentence when there's so many other things going on. The wraiths create a lot of unwinnable situations in general, really. Honestly, I think the fight would be just fine if the modder got rid of the wraiths altogether. If it wasn't for the wraiths, this would be an easy S tier. But for now, Absolute SilkGoddess will sit in A tier. Okay, I just looked at the mod page and turns out the modder fixed the wraith problem after I beat the mod. I still think the wraiths are super frustrating to deal with, but at least they aren't bugged anymore. Absolute SilkGoddess will receive its own special A+ tier. Congratulations! You have made it to the end of this video and have thus ascended beyond the minds of mortal men. You have gained a deep understanding of the universe and have become equal to the greatest philosophic minds in history. The truly aligned will already know to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and yeah, that's it. Bye.
Surprise, motherfucker.